Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Radically Well podcast. We're so excited to welcome Hilary Shor. When did you stop giving a
I think that I'm a survivor. I've had crazy things happen in my life that I've survived. I have not gone unscathed. And I think I absolutely have a survival instinct. I've cleared the way for many things in many ways in my life, and I haven't stopped. And I have found the confidence not to care what I look like, what weight I am. Do I have a man? Do I not have a man? Do I have a job? What do people in business think of me? I don't care.
Hilary is a film producer.
I know my own value, and I own that very strongly. I've been able to continue to work. It has not been easy, and you kind of have to plant your flag and let everybody know you're here. I will not go quietly into that good night.
She's really passionate about telling bold, transformative stories on screen, and I'm so excited for you to listen to this episode. Please enjoy. I am so excited to have this conversation.
Well, it took long enough for me to get the out here. Just joking. Yes, it's very funny. The people who, that's when, as you get older, that is one of the tragedies that, you kind of have a vague feeling that maybe you've met someone or they can remind you and all of that. But you definitely, as time marches on, can't remember people's names and faces and all of that. And I gave a little talk yesterday, a public talk, and people came out of the woodwork. I didn't have a clue. I mean, they were telling me when we met, where we met, who the connector was, and I was like, you could tell me anything and I'd believe you. There was one wonderful moment where I had gone, this was on Friday, Saturday before, I'd gone to a Hollywood party. Hollywood, I say, because it was in the Hollywood Hills. Okay. But it was a music party. And my girlfriend, who had just come back from Europe, said, we Ubered, thank God. And she, after an hour and a half, I was like, we're getting the out of here. It reminded me of, scenes that I'd had in the 80s.
Oh, goodness.
The hills. No, just the environment. And so we called an Uber. It was a miracle the Uber came. And as the Uber pulled out from this, when I say hilly areas, it was literally a one lane road getting up and getting down. There was a line of about 5 to 8 cars that are just sitting there stuck fish. It was crazy. And so for 10 minutes, it's just, we're standing off facing each other. And I said to my girlfriend, do you want me to try and handle this? And she goes, please do. So this little old middle-aged lady, and I use that word loosely, walks down the hill, and I start knocking on the doors of the car, people in the car, and saying, would you like me to help you turn around and go down said hill, because you ain't coming to this party, because there is no place to park and nowhere to go. So you're stuck. So you better figure out that somebody has to come down and you ain't going up. And so I walked all the way to the end and literally was like a traffic cop turning people around. Okay, back up. Okay, another foot, back up. Okay, you got it. Do you need help doing a 3-corner turn? It's something that maybe you guys in California haven't heard about. And this girl came up to me and said, I don't know if you would remember this, but I was in one of the cars that you turned around at the party on Saturday night. And I said, was I nice to you, or was it the point at which I had lost my temper? She goes, no, you were very nice. I said, so you explained to me. I said, how many people were in the car? She said 3. I said, so explain to me, tell me, oh, Gen X, oh, Gen Z, oh, potentially millennial. Tell me why all of you sat in the car like lumps of coal at Christmas and just didn't take action, did not think that perhaps this was an immovable force and nothing was going to happen. And why if you were not driving said car, there were 3 people in the car, one of you could have gotten out and done what I did for you, which was guide you into, turning around against a fence. No answer. I mean, it's really kind of a very teachable moment and a fantastic thought that I have with this generation some generations, they don't know how to read a map. What happens when everything crashes? What happens when the grid crashes? They can be able to get out of town?
Yeah.
Look up from your phone and experience life.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is it's so funny because I don't want to say I got berated, but I felt like I got berated, but that's, my sensitivity perhaps. But I had a learning moment exactly like this in London. And those cab drivers in London, they know their shit. So we're getting picked up. We're going somewhere. I was with Tori and I get in the cab and he goes, "Where are you going?" And I go, "I don't know. Let me check." Oh man. He was like, "How do you not know where you're going? What happens if you don't have your phone?" Like just continued. He's like, when I was growing up, I didn't have that. You had to know where you were going, the address and the area.
You had a sense. Are you going north, south, east, or west?
Yeah.
There would be times where I would give directions. I mean, I'm talking 10 or 15 years ago, where I would say, okay, go 2 blocks north and take a right and go 2 blocks east. Well, honey, it would be like speaking Greek. The whole concept of a city grid, uptown, downtown. I raised my daughter in New York. And it's very frightening to me because in truth, we are at the mercy of tech. And sometimes tech will fail you. And you need to be able to use other senses. When I was younger, we had this thing called Rolodexes. We didn't have contact apps. You had to remember, there was 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 8, 6,000 for Paramount. I mean, it was, a different time. But how that pushes you and your brain. And I'm very, very frightened for these generations that are coming. My daughter's 32. And I'm very, very frightened for the generations just behind her in terms of their ability to process, analyze, problem solve. There's something called common sense that doesn't seem to be working any longer.
Yeah, it's not very common.
It's not very common. And, listen, AI is a tremendously advantageous thing to use, but the human brain is extraordinary. And we're losing sight of that, and we're losing sight of emotions and the human connection. And all of that to me is, I'm on my back 9, but all of it is very, very frightening to me for these coming generations because they're lost. There's a tremendous ennui for a lot of these kids. They don't know where to go. They can't get a job. Of course, all those influencers are making a lot more money than I am.
Part of what I wanted to do with this podcast and in this space, it's like a lot of the topics we talk about are about health, about women's health, specifically women's health, right? Much of which we're losing every day, I feel like. But I feel like what you're saying is so key to this topic, especially of mental health for women and how things were different. I mean, I know Rolodexes. Like I was very fortunate. I'm an elder millennial, but I learned how to read a Thomas guide. I learned how to dial with having to put effort in. I think that one of the things that I find for me at this age is I value more things that I have to work for, something tactile, than the things that are just like a click of a button.
Yeah. What's the point of all of that? There was something yesterday that I looked up and I said to my daughter, ask AI. And I said, you know what? Don't ask AI. Let's figure it out. Let's look at Wikipedia. Let's try to, really think about it. It actually had to do with my dog and whether the dog had dementia. I was like, the dog seems to have dementia. I'm very worried about the dog. The dog's acting a little crazy. And I used those words, call AI. Let's go see the vet. But I do feel these last couple of decades, these kids who were born, in the last 30 plus years, they are adrift and they are not connected and they have lost their souls to a certain extent because when they are together, they're looking down at their phones. And when they are together, they're either, medicated in some way. And trust me, there's nothing wrong with medication. God knows I did enough of that in the 80s myself. I fear for them because I think that they believe that TikTok and what goes on in that 6-inch rectangle is real, and that these are real human emotions. And I feel that there's a lack of connectivity for them, and that's probably a very frightening place to be. The family units have broken down, and there's no sense of community any longer because people aren't getting, particularly after COVID, people aren't getting out of the house. What do you guys do? Nobody can afford to go and have a drink in a bar anymore. I mean, there's no place for them to connect, so they connect on social media, and they think that's real. And I think that there is a real crisis, a spiritual crisis that's making the Brian Kohlbergers commit the murders that happens, that all of these people, this loss of mental, the mental stress and the mental connectivity has resulted in, violence and, an anger because people aren't being taken care of by their community.
Where do you think that started? Like, did you see this happen, especially as a mom, right? You have a daughter.
Of course I saw it happen. I mean, of course I saw it happen. I lived through 9/11. I raised my daughter in New York. We were out on the streets. But those are as time has gone on, it's been very, very frightening. It's this loss of the middle class dream, this loss of people feeling like they could, at some point, some of my daughter's friends, they feel like they'll never be able to buy a house. They'll never be able to do what maybe my mother or her mother has been able to barely do, I might add. So I think that there's just people are distraught. And so where do? You dream about being an influencer. You dream about being a TikToker. You dream about, making a fortune in a way that many people aren't skilled enough to do or telegenic enough to do or whatever the fuck they call it. I think that there is a class struggle going on that is, quite distressing for a lot of people. And I think it leads to a lot of drug use, and I think that it leads to a lot of dystopia.
Hey, friends. Have you been struggling with mood swings? Like getting really irritated by the simplest things? Personally, every time I watch my husband put a dish in the dishwasher, it just inexplicably drives me crazy, which is not normal for me. I'm just curious, do you feel like your hormones could be out of whack? Like you haven't been sleeping well, been stressing a lot, craving foods you are not used to craving as much, or even your skin, your hair, and your muscles, do they feel different? Well, let's talk about a game-changing mineral that can help you feel your best: magnesium. Magnesium is an absolute must for keeping your hormones balanced and your body functioning optimally. But here's the thing, most of us aren't getting nearly enough from our diets alone. And when you're deficient in this vital mineral, it can throw your entire system out of sync. In addition to hundreds of other chemical reactions, magnesium also plays a vital role in hormonal balance, glucose metabolism, and managing symptoms across different stages of life. This makes magnesium supplementation a great support for all ages. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about the Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers. This unique formula contains 7 different forms of highly bioavailable magnesium, including magnesium orotate, which is amazing for metabolic and hormonal health. It can also support your hormonal health by supporting sleep, digestive health, stress management. So nourish your brain and body with Magnesium Breakthrough now. For an exclusive offer, go to www.biomebreakthrough.com/radically loved and use promo code radically loved during checkout to save 15%. If you subscribe, not only will you get amazing discounts and free gifts, you will make sure your monthly supply is guaranteed. Check it out at www.biomebreakthrough.com/radically loved.
Do you think it's sustainable, this whole influencer?
God, I hope not.
I don't think it is. I really don't.
I don't even have TikTok, but it shows up, reels and that sort of thing show up on my phone. And, the other day
Well,
I
and
was
you're a
like,
producer and you come from world of entertainment. Like there's so much there.
there's so much there, but I find it all very, I know there are some people who are actually looking to cast these people in projects. I mean, I was having lunch in an outdoor cafe in Beverly Hills the other day. It was a friend's birthday, and all of a sudden, young girl, under 30, and she popped up and she goes, "Oh my God!" I said, of course, my reaction is there a robber? Is there somebody trying to get Rolexes on the streets of Beverly Hills? Is there danger? That's my instinct. What is it? What is it? It was Pepe from Love Island and the chick he's banging. And they walked down the street, and there were two young girls, I don't think, college girls sitting next to us, and they went crazy. And everybody's like watching these people of whom I know nothing about walking down the street. And then there's people start to follow them. And later on, I went into, a friend of mine owns a store, and I went in to say hello to, go to the bathroom and use their toilet. And she pulled out, somebody who works for her pulled out a phone and said, "Look," and it's a picture of this little girl who's working in a store in Beverly Hills, and Pepe and, Ginger Spice or whoever the fuck he was with, some girl that apparently they got thrown off the island, but what do I know?
I don't know either, but continue. Right. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of people in this room.
I'm sure
there's people in this room who probably know who Pepe's girlfriend is. And to them, that was as exciting as when I remember being at an event when I was her age and Clint Eastwood came over to the table to say hello to the people I was with. Now, to me, that was exciting. Pepe, not so much. Now, I'm sure he's a lovely boy, and he's certainly quite good looking and very tall, but, I'm 5'2", so everybody's tall to me. I'm very sorry that he got thrown off whatever island they are on, of which I don't know. Maybe they are on an island. Maybe they're not on an island. I don't know what happens.
We don't know what's happening on the fucking island.
I don't know what happens. All I know is that I find it all very depressing.
Well, I mean, it's so different, but before we would all get the same media. We don't even get the same news. You're not getting the same. Your news feed is different than mine.
Oh, darling, it certainly is.
So that's what I'm saying. How do we then go back to what you were saying about the mental health epidemic that we are having and build community when people are not even seeing the same? There's no commonality.
I mean, you think
now.
about what Fox News is doing. I mean, was an inveterate CNN follower, and then everybody I like kept getting fired. And yeah, it really is shocking when you tune into, and I'm not going to name some of the outlets, but you tune into X, Y, and Z outlets, and they are spreading information that I potentially think is false about things. You see things flash up about what Israel's doing to Gaza, what Gaza's doing to Israel, extraordinary lies about things that are happening on both sides. And the truth as we know it is being manipulated. There is no truth any longer. I mean, I spend a lot of time every morning reading the New York Times, reading, other journals, and trying to figure out what actually is happening. So if I'm feeling that, and I'm fairly well educated, quite well educated actually, and have been a reader for many of I'm not going to say how many years, and I do watch a little reality television. I mean, I do like those housewives. I'm not going to say I just
it's
don't.
It's the only reality I watch.
I know. I just don't know that island that they're all on, or The Bachelor, or those kind of people. Those are not my people. Although somebody did try to attempt to put me up for the Golden Bachelorette. And I said, if you had done that, I would never, ever speak to you again. They tried to get some pictures of me from my social media. I was, are you joking, darling? I mean, that's a career ender, don't you think?
I mean,
it could be highly amusing and it could be great content.
I mean, I think it would be great content.
It would be great content. I don't know for whom, but
I would watch that. I think here's the other
honey,
thing.
I wouldn't. Sweetie, I'd be going, are you kidding me? I mean, I wouldn't last through the first interview.
She'd be like,
what are you kidding? I could wipe the floor with these guys.
How are you such an icon?
I mean, that's very flattering. And I mean, it is the journey of life that, I'm very self-deprecating in my own way. I am often very amused when somebody knows who I am, because of course, you know, this business breaks you down and makes you feel like nothing. Yeah. And I've spent an awful lot of time trying to build not myself up, but build others up. I've always tried to, you know, hands were reached out to me when I was young, and people gave me a lift, often an emotional lift. I mean, it's not like anybody ever paid me a lot of money or whatever, but people would see things in me. And it was peeling back the layers of distress, emotional pain, trauma, what goes on in our childhood, the darkness that sometimes you have to learn to put behind you and grow from. And it was peeling all of that back and just trying to be accepting of who I actually was, who I am at any stage of life, whether it was in my 30s or my 40s or my 50s or my others. I think that has been very important to me, to play it forward. People always, not everybody, and there were a lot of people who were really nasty to me, but there were a lot of people who were very kind to me and tried to help me through those moments where I would perhaps needed to get out of my own way. Yeah. So I do a lot of work in an unofficial way to do the same for others. You know, I have women's groups, I have mentoring sessions. Somebody picks up the phone and says, help me. And I think that, and I kind of cross, you know, not just my business, but the fashion business and, you know, a lot of other, you know, PR. I mean, I've always been there for a lot of people. And I think that that's kind of where the iconic, you know, legendary,
because it's like you have such an incredible reputation. Like that is something that, I mean, here's the thing that I've always said.
Tell me what you've heard about me, darling. Tell me what you've heard about me.
The thing is, like, you can buy followers, you can't buy a reputation.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of followers, but I do have a good reputation.
So
I mean, let's put it. Apparently, I have 7,000 of the right followers.
Okay. She said it. She said it here. You heard it here first. No, but that, to me, it's the quality, it's the quality versus the quantity.
A lot of, every so often, these people DM me. I'm like, what the fuck? You know,
you're like, oh right, I know you, or you've heard of me.
You, I don't know. But thank you for thank you. Yeah.
Wait, they're trying to sneak into your DMs? Say more.
I have a lot of people sneak into my DMs. Usually, you know, like I gave this talk, and people were very kind and very sweet and very touched by what I was saying, and then, you know, they send me DMs or they get my email or whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Doesn't mean I'm going to produce your shit movie, or doesn't mean that we're going to be friends. But thank you. It's fine. You know. I
mean, how do you navigate that? The world of entertainment, because you've done so much in your career, right? And so for me, it's like, I'm so inspired when I see women like you, like that are doing all of these different things and have such a good reputation behind them and have such confidence. Like when I met you, I was like, oh my God, this woman, she is a vibe. Like she's such a vibe. She's so like, does not give a f. And I'm like, but that's earned.
Yeah, I haven't given a fuck for a very long time.
When did you stop giving a fuck?
I think that I'm a survivor. You know, I survived a, you know, traumatic childhood for whatever reasons, haven't we all? And a traumatic marriage, you know, haven't we all? And then I was in 9/11. I was in a bombing in the UK. I've, you know, had like crazy things happen in my life that I've survived. I was in the earthquake here in the 90s. So time, you know, I have not gone unscathed. And I think I absolutely have a survival instinct, just like I help people I was like, I got out of the car and cleared the way. I've cleared the way for many things in many ways in my life. And I haven't stopped. And I'm good in an emergency, and I have found the confidence not to care, you know, what I look like, what weight I am, Do I have a man? Do I not have a man? Do I have a job? Do I have a, what do people in business think of me? I don't care. I live in my own skin. If I never make another movie, I'm okay. If I do make, 20 of them, that's fine too. I don't do anything I don't want to. I live life on my own terms. I've had a lot of death in my life. I've lost a tremendous amount of people who were the closest people to me. And, in terrible tragedies and in lifetime, the things that happen in a lifetime that is normal. And so I made a decision probably 15 plus years ago that I was going to walk on my own path and live in my skin. And I think that's a confidence and, things I've been through, completely having to restart my life and my career in my 50s with no money at all, and have done it with grace and class and humility and courage. And so when people are sitting here and whinging to me about this or that of my career, and like, you don't have a career, you build a career. What does it all mean?
Yeah.
It's all meaningless. What is the value of mankind? It is your relationships. It is the peace with which you put your head on the pillow every night. And I'm not a religious person. I'm not speaking about religion. I'm talking about, was I a good person today? Did I do the right thing? Do I always do the right thing? My daughter's gone through periods where, she hasn't been happy with the way I've been. But as we came out on the other side in our relationship, she knew that I had done the right thing in regards to her. And I do that in all my relationships. So I do think that nothing was ever handed to me. And so I do think that and sometimes you can work very hard and it doesn't, I work very hard, and am I as fiscally, am I do I have the money that there are people that I go, God, I'm a lot smarter than them. Maybe not, but I'm rich in other ways. And I'm rich in relationships. And, trust me, compared to the rest of the world, I'm doing just fine. But people are struggling now as they struggled like 2007. Things don't work out the way you expect them to, but they usually work out in a way. And it's what you do with that lesson. Do you look within? Do you look around the room and see who's good for you and who's not good for you, and what the quality of the people you're spending time with is? It's like, it's not necessarily about quantity, it's quality for me. And that can be about the movies that I choose to do, or the people that I choose to help, or the people that I keep around me. And that does change as you age. I mean, I do a lot less, and I have a lot less people that I hang out with. People are always saying to me, oh my God, you're so busy. I said, oh my God, that's Instagram versus reality,
The other facade, right?
The other facade. But I know that it's not true. I know what it all means. I know what feeds you. And it is not that telephone.
What do you think the key to having confidence is?
I think accepting yourself, being happy with yourself, being satisfied with what it is that you bring to the table. And we all can't be presidents, and we all can't, be in the C-suite, but we can, in our own way, touch people. I mean, I touch like the assistant at the office that I call when I ask them how they are. How you doing? How's it going? Oh, how's your dog? All of those little things. Those little moments where you touch up like a butterfly's wings against somebody to make their day better, and vice versa. Doesn't that make my day better? When somebody gets pleasure from, I look up when the waiter pours my coffee or my water and I say thank you, not so bad. And if they're, by the way, as my daughter always knows, when they don't give me good service, they'll hear something else from me. It's not all, I'm tough. I'm very tough. I'm very demanding. I demand people know what they're doing, and excellence and all of that. I demand excellence of those around me. I know that.
How has being a mother changed who you are within yourself as a professional?
First of all, being a mother healed a lot in me. And for me, I healed my relationship with my mother, sadly, later in her life. Than looking back, I have regrets.
After you became a mom?
At the end of my mother's life, when she was very ill, I was very present for her. And, we had a difficult relationship, which in hindsight, I realized was, on both sides. Wasn't all her. Definitely was me. And that's something that I worked very hard to try and be present for her. So her last years were comforted by me, and as the only person who was left to take care of her. She was alone at that point, and that also was very healing. And it's never enough. There's, what is that song? I don't know if it's Cat Stevens or something, but it's basically somebody lamenting the time not spent with their parents as you age and you're so busy with your lives and everything. So for me, it's about slowing down and taking time.
Wait, what
and
is
looking
that
around.
song?
I know.
Is it he's talking about his dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Tori
great
sings
song.
it. Yeah. Tori,
It's a great
he
song.
karaoke's that song. And it's oh man, look at my, yeah, I'm a lot like you. Oh my God. Yeah. Such a good song. Wow.
Play that on
Yeah.
the way out. I think that we all live very internal lives, and it's very self-important. And I have the advantage of the wisdom that comes with time, and that to me is the lesson. Don't negate those around you. Don't just look at somebody who's not dressed properly or is old or enfeebled, or don't look around and think that you're better than anyone else. And that is damn sure.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Because so many times, I mean, I think about the shithead that I was when I was in my 20s, and I was just...
I was such a self-absorbed piece of shit. Looking for who's going to take me for sushi, and how much sake can I drink, and where are the drugs, and oh my God. And, just self-absorbed. I mean, that is really what it is. You don't have a worldview. You have no empathy for others. You have to, and sometimes I think people, like Gaga says, you're born that way, or you learn it. And for me, I learned it through very hard lessons and experience, and not doing the right thing, and seeing that was my karma. My karma has been to have the tough lessons, and to, eventually, when it was beaten into me. I mean, I am always saying, honey, people pay me to talk to them. Listen to me. I'm right about everything.
I think so.
I know.
I'll do whatever you say.
Just call me up and I'll tell you what to do.
There's few people that I'm just like, okay, what am I doing? Like I
You can
feel
call me
like
up anytime. I said that. I was somewhere the other day, and there was this very big Hollywood agent who was there, who's younger. And I'm not working with her client anymore that had brought us together. And I turned to her and I said, you can always call me. You can always call me, and you can always ask me what I would do in that situation or how to handle that. I said, just because, we're not working together, I'm here for you. And I'm here for just about anybody who's smart enough to pick up the phone and ask me what to do. And a lot of big people do. It's really interesting. A lot of people ask me how to handle things. I think that's a God-given gift that I have, which is just common sense and also strategy. I think if that's
not common.
Yeah. I have superb strategy because I get out of myself and I observe. I know what's really going on with this person. So when you approach them for a deal or whatever, what is going on in their life? What's going on with their clients? What's going on in their life? Put yourself out of your head and get into somebody else's head. And I've always been really good with strategy.
So good.
It's a spidey sense.
Oh, I love this.
Helps.
I love this. So now where you are now in your life, in your career, in the space with all the lessons that you've learned, what is your outlook now on how you see your future shaping up?
I don't know. I'm single and probably will remain single for the rest of my life, I assume, based on where I live and my age and interest, quite frankly. I'm just not one of those women who has to be with someone in order to be complete. I've worked pretty hard on being complete myself. It'd be lovely to share my life with someone, to have dinner with someone, to know that when I'm land the plane, not literally, that there's somebody to check in with, to tell, other than my poor daughter who, needs to go on with her own life. So for me, that's just something that, I learned how to be in love with myself and how to really be very comfortable with being alone, which I think that a lot of my friends who've been divorced or widowed or whatever it is, they or are single, they feel a need. And I'm just not willing to share my life with someone who's not equal to me, intellectually, spiritually.
Yeah. Like, why would you compromise any of that?
Yeah. And that's hard at my age. That's hard at my age. And I think it's also hard with who I am. I'm talking about the entity that I am, who I am spiritually. I'm tough. I'm apparently scary to people, which I just don't understand. Am I scary to you? Am I scary to you? No. Okay, good.
I'm going to say no, but I am scared.
And I think that, I'd never be, one of those dogs who lowers its eyes. When you see all these gorilla trekking, that's the other thing that comes up on my Facebook, gorilla trekking. And, everybody goes, look down, don't look the gorilla in the eye. Don't look the gorilla in the eye. I'm like, I'd probably look the gorilla in the eye and I'd get killed. That would be a great, wow, can you imagine that epitaph? I go to Africa and the gorilla goes, I'm going to look you straight in the eye and say, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
How you doing? How you doing?
But that's the confidence thing that I'm talking about.
Yeah. I was never beta. I'm not saying I was alpha, but I was, never.
But have you always been that way? That's I guess
always
my question.
Been that way. I'm sure
Since you were little.
I'm sure I was a feral child. Yes, I've always been that way. I've always been very strong. As I said, definitely had my roadblocks that I put up myself. I always made trouble for myself. I always made mistakes that I made, I learned from, but I made those mistakes, definitely. But I was always very strong, and I just never stopped. I never didn't keep going. And that's kind of what it takes. When I was younger, there would be people, famous women who would quit the business. And I'd go, oh my God, I love the business. I'd never quit the business. Well, I'd probably quit the business. If something, I wouldn't quit life, but I'd probably quit the business if something else came along that was, it's very seductive. Let's face it, the most charming, the most beautiful, the most intelligent, the most educated, everybody, that our business attracts that. But at my age, I know that there's another chapter for me. I don't know what it is, but there could be another chapter for me. Yeah. Or not.
Yeah. Damn, no, I like the
I'm
optimism in that. Yeah.
I'm not scared.
Yeah, you don't. And you're not afraid. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I even wanted to do this podcast as a whole, right? Like I wanted to focus on these topics. Like I went, into early menopause. I'm postmenopausal now. I'm 42. And
that's a lot.
Yeah. And so many people, and I've had mostly positive feedback, but you occasionally get the people. For example, my friend's husband who works at a 3-letter agency, we're not going to say which one, that was
they're all 3-letter pretty
right?
much.
I know, trying to give us a little bit of space.
It's the triad.
Right. I can't believe you're talking about menopause. Like it's not very sexy. Like, are you sure you want to do that with your brand or your platform? And I'm like, what the
Every movie star out there has got a menopause brand.
I mean, now, yes, and to me, it's like, I think it's great. To me, it's exciting. It's like 100% of women will go through it. Like, why can't we talk about what we go through?
It makes you crazy. I remember just being filled with rage and like yelling at my daughter and yelling at people on the phone and like going, why am I acting like this? I'm like out of my mind. And then you get through it and you accept that you're like tumbleweed blowing in the wind. And you just you just let the river flow over you, and you flow down the river. And you just,
you go through it. And to me, what I wanted to see is like, well, what happens when your life, because we're fed that, once you get to a certain age as a woman, like you're not chosen, you're not.
Trust me, I know, baby.
And to me, I'm like, but why? But why is that? Why? I want to know why.
It's, I mean, every time somebody says, oh, you're so beautiful, and I'll go, what are you talking? You talking to me, Willis? It's very hard to believe. Well, that's also aging. I mean, that's a whole nother podcast that we can get into, but it's, part 2, but it's really about aging and how society doesn't believe you have use anymore. And so in order to be, I guess because I know my own value and I own that very strongly. I've been able to continue to work. It has not been easy. And you kind of have to plant your flag and let everybody know you're here. And you know, I will not go quietly into that good night. And I've never have. And I can't, you know, I need to make money. I have a lot of people relying on me. I will not back down because you tell me that, you know, I've got flabby arms and wrinkles on those flabby, wrinkly arms.
Hilary, you're an icon.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you, darling. Legend, icon.
You're a legend. You're the number one influencer.
I'm absolutely the number one influencer.
You are the number one influencer. I feel like everything that you do and that you've done is needs to be celebrated so much more. When I think about a strong woman, again, when I met you, I was like instantly in love. I'm like, dude, she's a badass. Like
I don't even remember
wish,
what I said. What did I say?
you just
Well,
are.
I do know how to
You're
introduce a room. I do know how I could be a Toastmaster.
You
Things
really
get really
could.
bad in the entertainment business. I can always give speeches.
You're a great speaker. You know, like the projects that you've done have been amazing.
Yeah.
Like doing a little
Called
deep dive.
having good taste.
Well, that's the thing. And you said you have a skill for strategy and you have a skill for having a great reputation and obviously maintaining good relationships in your career. So
Well, you don't try not to people. That helps. You know?
lesson of the day. Don't
Don't fuck other people. If you haven't, people remember that. And if you have, they want to walk over you like roadkill. I'm guilty of that. There are people who've not treated me right. And when it usually is a dish served cold, but it does happen. And it's like,
I'm glad I'm not at the other end of that.
oh yeah, honey. It's not a long list, but there's a list.
You'll have to maybe share after we're done with
I
this.
don't know about that, honey. All right. Well, this has been great. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been worth driving out. Where are we?
We're in the valley.
We're in the valley. Okay.
And she came all the way. Let's celebrate Hilary for this moment because
Yes.
she really, this was a
I
track.
charged my electric car this morning. I was like, oh my God, I'm going out of the valley. Will I make it? You know, I probably had 250 miles, but, you know, I topped it up to 335.
I appreciate you so much. And everybody watching this is appreciating it too. And I'm so grateful.
Well, I think it's great that you have a woman-centric, not talking about, well, maybe you do talk about vaginas, but there's a couple of podcasts that I've listened to and I'm like, is that really raising the bar? I don't think so. So I bravo for you, and I wish you the best with this, and I hope it just continues forever, and you get, you know, a lot of messages out there about what we as women need to do to support other women and raise great men who will also support their mothers and their aunts and their sisters and their wives and their daughters. So I think that's important.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.